Tink, we are live. Woo!
All right.
One of the reasons why I really like doing these hangouts with someone else that I like I did the previous one with Allison, and then my test run was with a bunch of friends. I'm doing this one with you. It means that as soon as you join in, it's already successful for me. Like nobody else has to really join in. It'd be great if they did. I want them to ask us questions and stuff, but if we're just chatting, that's already a win for me.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. It
Uh,
still says starting soon. Oh, wait. Yes. No, okay, now it says live. I think there's just a little bit of a lag, but that's fine.
there is a lag. It's like a 5 to 10 second lag, and then if we have a lot of viewers, it'll keep on increasing. But I doubt that that's going to be too big of a problem.
Should be fine.
I mean, we currently have 0 viewers, so I don't think Google's going to be too taxed by this particular conversation.
Like, we're overwhelmed. Okay, I'm gonna tweet this out again.
And we're live. There is just some German dude. Hello
Hey,
again, just some German dude. You tuned in for my last hangout too.
dude.
Matt
Hey,
Palka, everybody Palka.
I just subscribed to your channel, Matt, so I've seen like one of your videos. I haven't explored a lot, but I have started. I enjoyed it.
I like Matt a lot. He brings different perspectives to lots of different topics that I bring up on YouTube that I get involved in on YouTube, and he always tends to. I mean, like I try to think outside the box, and he also thinks outside the box, but in a different direction.
I like it.
Yeah.
Oh, and you finished your Less Than Famous audition video. Well done, well done.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to seeing that, Matt.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
I tweeted about this today, but I'm really happy that I'm seeing many of the YouTubers that I know and consider my YouTube friends doing the Less Than Famous panel audition. That's really cool.
It's such a great panel. I've went for the last 2 years, which I think it's only been going for 2 years, if memory serves. Yes, because I've only been to two VidCons, so yes, um, and that's when it started. I loved it both times. They were both very different, but good. It's a good
Good.
thing.
I'm still YouTube baby, so I've only been to one VidCon, which I attended at like after I'd been only doing YouTube for about a year. Last year was fun, overwhelming. I got to like my best. I don't know what other things there are at VidCon, but my favorite parts of VidCon were going to the panels that I wanted to go to, and then meeting YouTubers like yourself, Chelsea, and you know everybody that was hanging out with you in your hotel room and at the various other events of VidCon. Um,
There was
and
a
then like
large crew.
it was a large crew, and then but I think I managed to meet everybody, and I think I managed to stay in touch with everybody, at least all the ones who have YouTube channels and or Twitter.
I met so many people this last year. I didn't meet a ton of people at like VidCon 2013, which was my first VidCon. A few, but really almost none.
Why was that?
I was just so overwhelmed, I think, and I didn't have a channel at the time. Did I have a channel? I did, but I had like one video up, and so I was not like feeling confident to network with that because it was so like baby tiny channel. That I just kind of focused on being with my friends that I went with, which was great too. I had a blast. Like VidCon 2013 was a blast. But you know what? I did meet a couple really good friends. That's where I met Josie actually, and she doesn't have a channel, but she's fantastic. And also a couple other people who live in San Diego I got to meet at VidCon. So I guess I shouldn't say I met nobody, but I met so many people this last year at VidCon 2015. They're like not even comparable.
Well, I'm glad that it wasn't just me meeting lots of people. Matt says
Yeah.
this coming VidCon is going to be his first one. Awesome. I can
Ayo.
I will actually have a little bit of experience over somebody else there.
Emily!
Emily's here. That's so cool. Hi, Emily.
Hands up, Emily!
Aw.
Yes, come to VidCon. Everybody who is in the Hangout right now, please come to VidCon this time. 'Cause it's gonna be great.
Yes. Heck, and be sure to register before they cap it, because apparently they're capping it this year.
I know. I still need to register. I booked my hotel room because I didn't have enough money to like do everything all at once. So I booked the hotel room, which was like the biggest cost. So like I'm definitely going, but I need to just buy my ticket. I should probably do like after we finish this hangout. I should just go buy my ticket.
That's not a bad idea.
No. Oh, I love Emily.
Oh, me too. She's the best. You know, at VidCon last year, so I considered myself basically an unknown person, but I did know Peter of the what's this called? Shoot, the Go Noun a Verb channel. I think that's what it's called.
Hmm.
And he was involved with or like had a familiarity with and a friendship with Emily of Sexplanations. I'm sorry, LTD of Sexplanations. I can't remember her actual name. I only remember people's screen names now.
Lindsay Doe?
Lindsay Doe, thank you. Lindsay Doe of Sexplanations. He knew her, and he knew, I want to say maybe Anthony D'Angelo of the Young Tubers panel.
Okay.
And so through Peter, and then through Anthony, and like knowing of the Young Tubers panel, I kind of knew who all of them were, but only a little bit. Like I didn't expect any of them to know who I was. But Emily was so nice to me, a complete stranger. She was like really friendly and welcoming, and that was really cool. It made me feel a bit more accepted at my very first VidCon. So thank you, Emily, for making me feel more accepted in the YouTube community at my very first VidCon.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you had that experience.
It was a good one. I was very lucky that I was just starting to know people before I went to my very first VidCon. Go Verba Noun, thank you. Go Verba Noun was the name of Peter's educational channel, and I remember like you said that at your first VidCon you had maybe one video up. I had quite a few videos up before this last VidCon, but I wanted to I wanted to seem like I actually could do something impressive on my channel before I told people about it at VidCon. So my last couple of videos before VidCon were the hardest videos that I had created up to that point. Like this huge collab video for my 500 subscribers milestone, where we all sang Sarah Bareilles' Brave together. It was hard. It was tough.
It was tough.
It was. That's a hard song to sing. It is misleading.
No, it does. It is. It is a hard one. Oh, that's great though.
Yeah, and so it was also a fundraiser for Rain. So like it had all the different things that I wanted to have expressing about my channel. You know, collaboration with people, good music, singing, standing up for social issues. I put them all. I like jammed them all into my 500 subscriber milestone video, and I posted it. I want to say like 1 week before VidCon, so that it would be there in case anybody checked out my channel while I was at VidCon.
I mean, it's smart. It's smart. I did not have anything worth noting on my channel at all. This last year, yeah, I had some stuff up, thankfully.
Yeah, you have a skill skill set that I don't have. I don't have like an artsy skill set. Like my stuff is like practical, and I can talk a good game, but I can't make my videos look as pretty as so many of my friends' videos.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I feel like I I don't like have a good talking game though, because I'll be like, I'm just gonna make a vlog and I'll just stand in front of the camera and I'm like, what am I doing? And I'll ramble and then I'll look back at the footage and I'm like, this I can't use this and I'll just have to scrap it. So I respect your ability to just like turn the camera on and say coherent thoughts that actually like are engaging. It's well done. I struggle very much with that.
Well, thank you very much. My even though many of my vlogs are unscripted, I say that, but it almost feels like I'm cheating because by the time I shoot an unscripted vlog, I've usually been ranting about whatever I'm vlogging about for like 24 hours straight.
So you know what your thoughts are.
Exactly. I've been screaming them in the shower for so long. It's not pretty easy to say them calmly on screen.
That's great.
Madeline Claire asks that I do another one. I am going to do another song soon. I think I'm going to try to put up a song video either for my second-year anniversary, like in order to celebrate my second-year anniversary, or just before it. And we've got 7 viewers.
Hey yo.
And oh, Emily. And Matt asks,
Yeah.
do both of you know what your first collaboration is on YouTube? Do you know, Chelsea?
I'm trying to think. Probably my first like I don't know if I would call it a collab or a collaborate. Like I wouldn't call it a collab, but it was a collaborative effort, I guess. Is I made a cover video for a Gunnarolla song called Konkai, and my friend Carson, the Carson Effect, I was like, yo, do you wanna be my romantic interest in this video? And he was like, yes, of course, because he loves acting. And we had a lot of fun. Thanks. Yeah, he does love me. I'll claim that. I love him too. He's one of my best friends. But so we were in a video together on my channel. But I didn't really think of it like a collab, but that's probably it. And I'm very proud of that video. I made it. Like, that's one of my first videos, really. And I just, like, I shot really, like, I shot for the stars. Like, I went way above, like, my skill level. And it actually turned out okay. And so even though I look back and it's really cringy because there's a couple, like, really big mistakes that I made.
Uh-oh.
Like, to me, I'm like, I should have, like, that would have just been such a little, like, setting to change. It would have been so much better. But, that's a fond memory for me. Thank you for asking that question, Matt.
That's really cool.
I love Carson too, Emily. What about you, Paul?
Well, see, the weird thing is, I think of a collaborative video as basically any video that I'm making with somebody else who's not me. That's it. All I need is like somebody else to be involved. But if you're talking about like a collaboration between myself and another YouTuber, that's a different question. That's a different story. So my first collaborative video ever was probably literally my first video that I uploaded to YouTube in like this like productive form. Like I uploaded like some TV clips and stuff before, but I don't count that. My first collaborative video I'd made with my friend Katie Gill, capital Katie on Twitter, and she and I were starting up a sex, dating, and relationships web series, which I called "It's Probably You." And I remember that our first video was a friend of mine had submitted a question about where she described her current kind of relationship, and then she asked what she should do about it, and Katie and I gave our opinions about that. We were not the most happy about what she described as her relationship because she wasn't being treated. My friend wasn't being treated very well. So that was it. So my first video ever, essentially, on YouTube was a collaborative video with a friend of mine who was not part of this channel, as it were, and we gave advice about a relationship. We turned out to be right, by the way. So yay us. And then I'm trying to think of what my first collaborative, like YouTubers collaborative video was that I made, and I think it might have been my 1-year anniversary video, which is still up on YouTube, and I'm gonna be I'll probably be tweeting it out in just a minute. But it was basically I had a bunch of people submit videos where they just said, happy anniversary, Paul, or congratulations, Paul, or just hi, Paul, and I just spliced them all into another big mashup video, and it was a video where I made a little I made a puppet of myself, and the puppet sang "Pumping Blood" where all these videos were playing around it. I think I still have I still have the puppet, actually. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I want to see the puppet.
I'm gonna give the screen back to you while I go get my puppet.
Okay. So Matt, I see your comment saying more like the first proud interaction. So are you saying like what was our first collaboration with somebody that we like really respected in YouTube? Like is that what you're asking? Paul's coming back with the puppet.
I've heard none of what you said because I took off my earphones. Right.
I was asking Matt to clarify his question.
Oh, I see. All right.
In a very drawn-out way, I said it very wordily.
Okay. Here's Puppet Paul.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. What does the shirt say? I love what?
It just says I heart.
Okay, I like it. That's great.
Yeah. I have a full-size version of the shirt that I myself wear on more than one occasion, and so I just made a small version for Puppet Paul.
I like Puppet Paul. Puppet Paul is pretty accurate.
Right? And I put this together using like stuff that I made. I don't know. I put this together myself, basically.
Just like from scratch, like.
Not entirely from scratch. I cobbled together bits and pieces of things for like kids' toys and and other stuff, and I made it to this. Can you do me a favor? And I think you should be able to do like a screenshot, and then you should tweet this out.
Okay.
I need to get the focus back on me, and I'll do that. Bam. And I can hold up Puppet Paul. Let me see if I can
right.
Look there.
1, 2, 3. Okay, hopefully that turned out good because sometimes the quality comes in and out. But let's see. Let's try this out.
Did it turn out?
I'm pulling it up right now. Oh, come on.
I feel like Megan Greg, is it Greg? Megan Greg just joined us when I pulled up the Muppet.
Well, hey, perfect timing.
Perfect timing.
All right, screenshot.
Thank you all for joining us. We have 9 viewers now.
Yeah,
I'm seeing your comments on the side there. Feel free to ask us questions, and we shall try to answer them in a fun way.
It's kind of blurry, but I'm just gonna go for it.
Go for it.
You look really excited in it, so it works.
That is always accurate. Greg, I was right. Cool. Thank you, Megan. Oh, Madeline. It's actually very complimentary for you to tell me that reminds you of Avenue Q. So thank you, Madeline. Right.
I totally didn't tag you in that tweet, but you'll see it.
I will find it. That's uncanny. And I'll retweet it. Boom.
Okay, so Matt, your question, like, what was the hook moment for being on YouTube, like the pivotal point? That's a good question. So mine actually goes back like well before I actually started making videos. And so I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Lane here, aka Lancifer. Many of you probably know him because he knows literally everybody in the community. But he's done a couple collabs with Tessa Violet or Mika Kitty, so you might have seen him on her channel. But I had followed him for a little while, and this was when I was just a viewer. I had no personal channel at all, and I followed him on Twitter, like I was subscribed to him, and he said like, "Oh, I'm in LA," and I live in San Diego. For those of you who don't know, so pretty close to LA, like depending on which part of respectively you're talking, anywhere from 2 to 4 hour drive. And so I was like, "Hey, you should like hang out with me sometime because we live like very close to each other right now." And it was just a shot in the dark. I was like, he's not even going to see this tweet. He's not going to respond at all. And he was like, "Oh yeah, sure, like let's do it." And I was going to be in LA like in a couple weeks. And so I just was like, "Do you want to hang out and spend some time in LA? Like I'm going up there with my friend." And he was just like, "Yeah, let's be friends," and was just like a super friendly dude. And so I did that. I went up and hung out with Lane in LA, and he was just great. Like he's awesome. Check out his channel. It's Lancefer. And that was just like a really crazy moment for me because I'd always felt like I was over here and I'm just like the viewer, like, and somebody who really wanted to create, but not only create, but be part of the community, because like that's the biggest part of YouTube that I love is being part of the community, and I never felt like part of the community. I just felt like a viewer who was just like on the outskirts. And when I like actually just kind of got a small ounce of confidence and reached out to somebody and they responded positively, I felt like the creator being here and me here, like the glass wall that was in between us just was like gone, like it completely shattered. And I could reach out and touch people that I respected and who inspired me, and I could be part of their community too. And so that was like the biggest catalyst that made me actually start making videos and feeling confident that I like could be part of the community. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it was a really big moment for me. And check out Lane because he's very encouraging.
What's his YouTube channel?
I think it's just Lancifer.
Lancefer.
I'm going to look that up right now.
Okay. Megan, your view of this, like, so like, it's not just you. That's what happens with these hangouts, is that I can see Chelsea immediately, and she can see and hear me immediately, but all of our viewers are lagged behind us a little bit.
Yeah.
Like for example, right now I just saw that Madeline tweeted about us, but you're probably not going to see that on this video for like a minute. To recap the other questions, Madeline, did I make the puppet? I did make the puppet, not from scratch. I started off with the shell of, I think it was like a fireman's puppet from some kid's place thing, and I tore off all the fireman stuff, and then I assembled it with like little glasses and stuff. Let's see here. I'm gonna get to Emily's question. What is the best part of YouTube ever, even ever? We'll get to that after this one. And hi, probably Sarah. So we're talking about what like really hooked us into making YouTube stuff. You know, I was thinking that I was going to do a couple of those sex dating relationship advice videos, and that maybe some of my friends would watch them and enjoy it in some fashion, and then that would be it. But after about 2 or 3 of those videos, people I did not know started contacting me and saying that they liked the videos that I was putting up. And you know, I mean, there were sex dating relationship videos, so they were specifically addressing parts of interacting with people in sexual/romantic situations. People needed reassurance and or help. So when I actually found out that people were getting reassurance and or help from my videos, I was astonished. I did not think that that would actually happen for me. And as soon as I got that feedback from somebody that I did not know, from complete strangers, that was pretty much it. That's all I needed. All I needed to know was that I was able to expand outside of the circle of the people within my reach to people I don't even know, and I was hooked.
You're like, I can do this. I can do this. That's awesome, Paul.
Yeah. And you know, and if all I were getting were subscribers and views, but no comments and no tweets back and forth, I'd probably be bored with it already, even if I had tons more subscribers and views. I don't really understand people who don't interact with their viewers. I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't get that either.
I mean, I suppose that's what actors do. Actors, up until the advent of Twitter, probably only interacted with a tiny, tiny, tiny portion of the people who ever watched them. But it's just, it feels so much less fulfilling than if I could actually interact with people. Classic Josh Sundquist line. We should hang out sometime. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. According to just some German dude, the lag on the PC is slower than on the Android. Interesting. Okay. So, Chelsea, what is the best part of YouTube ever?
Oh, that's a big question.
Big question.
I would just go back to saying the community. I've met so many cool people on here, and I've been really encouraged by just YouTube as a whole. Not necessarily people that I've had direct interactions with, but just the positivity that I've found in various communities, like in the Nerdfighter community is one big example of that. But there's a couple other that I kind of jumped into when I first started watching that were really influential to me when I was going through a really bad time in my life. And I was like pretty hopeless in a lot of areas. Like my outlook was like, this thing is just terrible. Like this thing of life is just a terrible thing, and but I was able to, watch videos from other people and see them living their lives and like being happy and healthy, not just like being happy and unhealthy, but like happy, healthy relationships and communities that they were building around that were really encouraging to me while I was having a hard time to like see other people doing well when I was not, I guess, and it gave me a lot of hope. And then being able to actually like interact in the community. So community, that's my answer. What about you, Paul?
I mean, we're probably going to be going back to that over and over again. So I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
So definitely like the friendships that I'm making with people like Emily Grace on my way to Hogwarts, and Matt Palka and Megan Gregg, and the fact that I'm able to do this and develop these relationships with people that I outside of YouTube would never have crossed paths with. Like before YouTube was my driving passion. I was mostly a swing dancer, so I would go out to swing dances, and that's for like 15 years. For 15 years, I would go to swing dances both weekly in my local area, and then I'd travel around the country to go to swing dance events, and I'd meet a lot of people then. But we were all kind of the same a little bit. Like we were all socially awkward. We're usually nerdy or engineers who wouldn't otherwise have easy access to touching people, and swing dancing gave us like a socially acceptable means of physically contacting somebody else for like 3 minutes at a time, nice music, usually in nice locations. We'd enjoy each other's company, and then we'd part, and then I could do it again. It was like super low key, super low pressure speed dating to jazz. And
that's amazing description.
So that's how I would meet most people. But most people I met were very similar because we all kind of ended up going to swing dances. On YouTube, I have almost nothing in common with so many of the people that I now consider my friends on YouTube. And that's great. I mean, there's a huge age difference. I'm very old compared to everybody else. Most people I know are like late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, and I'm in my late 30s. So I'm very old compared to everybody else. But people are cool with me, and it's nice. And like the stuff that I feel passionate about, I'm actually finding here. I found on YouTube in the first year, I found out that people were concerned about things like consent and sexism and ableism and being cool with the rainbow community of queer people. I found that with my first year of exploring YouTube. It took me like 13 years to develop connections in the swing dance community who are concerned about those things, and that's a big difference. Admittedly, the whole landscape of the world is different. So like everybody's a little bit more concerned about those things now. But still, in less than a year, lots of friends who are all concerned about the same social issues that I was concerned about. That's a big deal to me. But so again, community, just like you said, my biggest favoritist thing about YouTube. But I'll tell you my second favoritist thing about YouTube, and that is we get a hell of a lot out of it for free.
True.
For free.
Very, very true.
I'm putting on a talk show right now with you for at least 8 viewers for free. That's ridiculous. That's awesome. I can't make any money off of it yet, but even that's potentially possible down the road.
Come on, not even 3 cents.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. But like the fact that because of Google's offerings here, we can do this sort of thing. We can make YouTube vlog videos. We can make like skits. We can have web series. We can have Google Hangouts for free. All we need is a computer. We can even have like a crappy computer. We can have a crappy computer and still do this. It will not be fun as much, but we could do it.
Or even, if you don't have a computer at all,
Yeah.
smartphones, the apps are coming so far. A lot of people.
Yeah.
Was it just some German dude said, he was doing it on his Android phone. That's pretty awesome.
Yep. My entire, I would say the first 8 or 9 months of my YouTubery was all done from my HTC phone, which, to be fair, it does have HD cameras, both front-facing and back-facing, which a lot of other phones do not have. But it was my YouTube channel was almost entirely phone-based for the first 8 or 9 months. I'm just gonna go through and like retweet all the tweets that people are tweeting about us now.
I know, I'm like trying to look at all that, but I'm not ignoring what's happening here.
It's weird.
Oh,
It's
yes.
weird to split the attention all over the place.
It is. We can do it, and I believe in us.
Emily, do you swing dance? I see that you love swing dancing. You gotta tell me. Let's see here. At last
Tyler!
video. Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, Nerdy May's here. All right. Hi, Tyler. At the last VidCon, at the prom, I got to dance a couple of songs, swing dance style, to Just Margaret, with Just Margaret. Ha! Margaret Kammer. She was great. We danced, I think, like 3 or 4 songs swing dance style at the prom. It was awesome.
That is awesome. You found somebody who like doubly overlapped with your interests.
Weirdly, there's like, and also Purely Catherine also swing dances, but I didn't get a chance to dance with her at the prom. Our paths just never crossed. So there are a couple of people who have said they need to come back to VidCon so that we can dance swing dance style at the prom again. That's happening.
I support this idea.
Megan agreed about YouTube and community. Matt chimed in on friendships built off of interest and value. Yeah. I mean, it's something that I repeat a lot, especially to my friends who are still in high school or college, and I keep on pointing out to people, I mean, yes, you're going through some like really valid experiences, but your valid experiences are kind of forced upon you by your environment. Like you're stuck in your high school or you're stuck in your college, and no matter how diverse people are, you're kind of forced to be friendly with each other because of geography more than because you actually like the same things. Life after that changes.
Yeah, life after high school, like, whoa, very different. There's a weird idea very much in media. I feel like I learned it from media, not really from anybody who was like in my life, but that high school is this like peak moment in your life, like where you're gonna have like one, if not more, like really magical romances. You're gonna go to like an amazing prom.
Wait. How many romances did you have?
No, just this is the ideal.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Like one, if not more.
I had 0.
Yeah, same. You're gonna go to an amazing prom. You're gonna have like this cool locker, right? My school didn't have lockers, okay? But there's just this whole like teen movie like ideal, and a lot of people don't experience that. Some people do, um, but it's very confusing when you're a high schooler who is not experiencing that, and then you finish high school and you're like, none of that stuff happened. What's wrong with me? Oh, and now it's over. Like I peaked, and like now I'm post high school, and now I'm an adult. What am I doing? Like it's so messy. It's so different though. Like life after high school is great. It's messy, but I don't ever want to go back to high school. Not because I hated it, just because like life is so good now. Even though life hard, but life good.
I I did well in high school, but I hated hated my social experience in high school. Um, Being the nerdy weirdo in high school, uh, not as good as it looks on TV and movies. It's not. Mm-mm. Uh, Emily does swing dance. Hooray! I'm gonna swing dance with you at VidCon. We gotta dance. And Tyler says he'll film us swing dancing. Ha ha! Awesome. And I guess I think that maybe Megan also swing dances. You got to come to VidCon. We'll swing out a couple times. Um, but yeah, so my college experience was better because everybody at my university wanted to be at university, and they were mostly going classes that they wanted to go to. But even then, I mean, I don't know. I felt too confined by the rules and regulations of what I had to do with my day every day. You would think that having like a full-time job, I would feel that same thing, but I specifically found a job where I can really make my own schedule, and that's why I'm happy, and I've been at the same company for like a decade now because I can make my own schedules. It's such a big deal.
Yeah, that's
for
nice.
me. For me, I don't know. I'm sure that there are some people who really, really like having the I don't know, the regularity of someone telling you what to do on a given schedule on a regular basis over and over again. I know that there are people who like that actually, who find comfort in it, but not me. I want to do something different every day and choose what I want to do every day. And if my job didn't let me do that, I would find another job. I don't know if I've ever seen 100+ different countries in my analytics. I feel like I think I had like 40 countries, 20 25 countries, something like that. Less than 100, I feel like.
Yeah, I'm not that popular. I'm not that worldwide yet.
I'll tell you the secret to my tiny success. It's really not that big yet, but the secret to my tiny success is, and this is weird to me, I'm not afraid to talk about stuff that is important. Like I think that if I just stuck to doing fun and light videos like tag videos or I don't know whatever else fun and light things that people do on YouTube, I don't know that I don't know that I have as many subscribers or have as wide of a reach for my internet presence as I do now when I'm willing to talk about things like the fact that that the Department of Justice finally agreed that yes, in fact, racism is a problem in the St. Louis police departments. Yeah, it is. The rest of us have all known that for like years now, but the Department of Justice has finally said it so. So I'm probably going to vlog about that, and people will get mad at me, but it will also get a lot of views because people will want to see someone talking about what's going on again in Ferguson and related topics. And I just talk about that stuff. I talk about YouTube abuse. I talk about racism. I talk about ableism. I talk about people treating trans folk poorly. I talk about all the stuff on my YouTube videos, and those are definitely the videos that get the most views and cover the most countries.
That's interesting because I think, well, I can't say a lot, but some of what you talk about is very much like current events in the U.S., which I'm sure people who are not in the U.S. will be curious about, but it's interesting to me that those are some of your farthest reaching videos.
Yeah, I mean, my suspicion is that people in like Australia, people in Germany, people in Japan, people in South America, the various countries of South America. I realize it's more than one. Um, they they mostly get drivel from the United States when we report on our own news. You know, like when CNN reports about something, it's like they pay attention for a minute and then it's just trivial garbage again. And don't even get me started on Fox News. So when they hear somebody who's actually here in this country saying things that are not just the same thoughts over and over again on MSNBC, I think they're interested in seeing about that. They're interested in finding out about that.
Yeah, that's very true because like some of my or two of my favorite YouTubers are Simon and Martina from Eat Your Kimchi, and they're Canadians who live in Korea, South Korea. And I find their videos absolutely fascinating because they talk about current events and like cultural things, just life in South Korea, from a first-person standpoint. But it's not the news, you know. It's just somebody who lives there who's talking about it, and I feel like I've learned so much more about South Korea from their perspective and from, you know, the various other people that they have on their channel than I've ever learned in anything I've read or any official like South Korean media, like news media that I've seen. So that's interesting. It's a good point, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, and actually, I really need to branch out and talk about things that are more universal. I mean, it's on my radar that I want to talk about things that happen in the UK. And I want to talk about things that happen in South America. And I want to talk about things that happen in Africa. I want to talk about things that happen in, hey, that land where I was born, South Korea. But I kind of have this pressing urge to address the problems where I am first before I start talking shit about anybody else's problems.
I think that's a really valid point because a lot of us like to just like look at, I mean, well, the news is a great example. We look at something in the news and we're like, that's bad. They need to change. Or we'll look at, you know, people like on the fringe of our social circle and think like, oh, we'll talk trash about them or whatever. And, you know, I can't believe XYZ is doing that. But like the biggest change we can make is within our sphere of influence. And when you go outside of that sphere of influence, the chances are very low of you making any actual change. And I heard somebody, I can't remember who it was, but they said if you want to change the world, you should go home. But they didn't mean like get out of here. They meant like go to your home, go to your family, go to your friends, and start there and be a force for good there. And that's like if everybody did that, the world would be changed. And it was really interesting. So I support that idea, Paul.
Thank you. The way you described it, I'm sure that this is not the person you're quoting, but the way you described it made me think of Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror. It's gotta take a look at yourself and make a change.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't Michael Jackson, but yeah, it's all in the same strain.
Pardon me, Scozio has joined us.
Hey, Scozio. Thank you for liking your conversation.
Hooray. And I support Tyler's Nerdy Maze suggestion that we need to get a bunch of people to say everybody polka, and then we should all start polka-ing. Once I start saying one, it's hard to say the other. We should get a bunch of people to say everybody polka, and then we should all polka. I can polka, so I will join in that.
Yeah, I have no idea how to polka, so.
It's really easy. You just go back and forth, really fast.
I'm sure I could do it. I just have no idea how to do it.
I'm also looking at Twitter, and Francie, my I think German friend who speaks very good English, Francie, has asked, how would you describe the YouTube community you're in 3 words? 3 words to describe the YouTube community that you're in. I assume that what she's talking about is, you know, our specific circle rather than like BookTube or like social vloggers or whatever, but like us. What do you think, Chelsea?
That's really hard.
It is.
It's really hard. I don't need a minute to think.
Me too. Um, I will tell you a word that I am hard pressed to use in my circle, and that is diverse. It's nobody's fault, I don't think, because I actively try to be inclusive of lots of different type of people, but I do feel like my closest knit community are people who are mostly white people. There are a lot of queer people in my community, which is awesome, but like I know a few Asian people on YouTube that I talk with. I know a few people of color, black people on YouTube. Trying to think if I know, and I definitely know people from other countries, but a lot of us are white, and I feel kind of, I mean, I'm not white, but but many of us are white, and I feel like I need to work on that.
I know that's I won't get away from the question, but yeah, that's something interesting because I've noticed that about my community too. And like you said, I don't think it's anybody's fault, and nobody's doing anything on purpose, and it's not shaming anybody for anything, but it's something to be aware of. 3 words. I'm still struggling.
I would say passionate, um, thoughtful, and I mean this in the best possible way, imperfect. I feel like all of us have a lot of feelings. We try really hard to approach topics in in a very considered way, not just like scream at the top of our lungs at the first sign of trouble, but really like consider what we're getting into. But all of us kind of realize that we're struggling with stuff. Like many of us, myself included, have mental health issues that we deal with. Some of us have issues of coming out in various ways, like legitimately coming out, not just I'm Christian. Like actually struggling with coming out with something. Um, and I think that affects a vast majority of us. So yeah, I'm gonna go with passionate, thoughtful, and imperfect.
I have 2 words. I'm trying to think of like the key third word here.
I'm gonna look at the comments while you're thinking about that.
Yes.
Um, awesome. Black Vlogs is watching us while writing a script.
Hey, good
Yes.
luck on your script.
I'm pretty sure that's Cat Black. Hi.
I feel like,
Um,
yeah, I feel like I saw a tweet from you maybe earlier.
I love Cat. Cat is a doll. She is so smart and eloquent and thoughtful and unafraid, it seems.
I think you retweeted one of her tweets, Paul.
I try to do that a lot. You know, while I am not one of the white males who are at the top of YouTube, annoyingly enough, I am certainly a light-skinned male, and so I try my best to raise up the voices of everybody else, basically. Um, do, do, do. Tyler, hey Tyler. Um, Romanian salt mines.
Into an amusement park. Okay. All right, I think I picked my words. This is not necessarily the best 3 words, but it's the words I'm going to go with because I've already been thinking about this for like 5 minutes. I would say tumultuous, and invested, and surprising. Um,
Oh, really good, really good.
tumultuous and surprising are kind of similar, but I feel like so many of us are really invested in this community. I feel very invested in this community, and I see that reflected through a lot of people. Um, but things are messy a lot of the times. It's where everything's moving at the speed of light, it feels like, and I'm always being surprised by what's in good and bad ways, by what is happening in the community at large, but even just within my own smaller circle. People surprise me a lot of the times.
Bye, Megan. I'm just seeing your comment
Bye.
now. I think you're right on the target, right on the mark, Chelsea. Because, and I think part of the problem is that we have this really fast means of communication now. Like every year, we can communicate more faster than we've literally ever been able to do before in human history. And so, like even just within YouTube, you can go from posting standard definition videos from a webcam to doing really high quality DSLR videos to doing like HD videos. At some point they're going to have like 3D videos or maybe even VR videos on YouTube. I'm pretty sure of it. And so each one of those things gives us a lot more information that we can convey really, really fast. So we're in this position where we can convey a lot of information to everywhere in the world really fast. And usually what happened in history is when we convey information that's surprising, that starts a little boulder rolling, and that boulder hits people and it rolls down the hill and it affects change. But previously, the communication happened so slowly that like one thing would start off a boulder and it rolled down a hill and it hit a few people and hit a few people, and then you had the Renaissance. And wow, that's amazing. Now we have boulders rolling down the hill constantly, hitting people constantly, and it's hard for us to just even absorb what's happened to us, let alone figure out how to grow from that.
It's true. I was talking to my brother about slang recently.
About what?
And, say that again?
What were you talking about?
I was talking about slang.
Slang.
Yeah, and how
colloquialisms.
Exactly. Before, so, I mean, I live in California, so slang from Northern California took kind of a while to trickle down to Southern California and vice versa.
Hella, yeah.
Hello is a great example. And now, like, people all over the United States and the world use that term. And just with the dawn of, like, Twitter and Tumblr, etc., slang travels so much quicker than it used to. I feel like every week I'm seeing some new slang term, and I'm like, oh, kids these days, But like I'm always, I'm always seeing new words, and I think that's interesting because that wasn't a thing 10 years ago, and that's just one kind of facet of how quickly information travels. And like you said, those boulders, it used to take potentially years to get from maybe the West Coast to the East Coast, and now it takes less than a second. It's crazy.
It is. It's very overwhelming, and I can talk about this in regards to like society at large, culture at large, just like you did, but it also happens in a very disruptive way in smaller niches, like in YouTube, in the YouTube community. There's a weird disconnect between how fast information can spread and how quickly we can react to that, and the repercussions keep on going over and over again because videos don't stop being seen just because you've posted them. So like, I actually got a comment, I want to say today. Yeah, I think I tweeted about it. Somebody who with a screen name A Muffin commented on my video about Jason Sampson V1I, where I had posted in my video many months ago that Jason Sampson was a statutory rapist because he did sexual things with someone who was under the age of consent. That's literally the definition of what a statutory rapist is.
Yeah, just stating facts here.
Stating facts. And then somebody just today apparently came across that video from months ago and chimed in with a comment about it. And that's weird. Like, you would think that I post something like that, and then everybody kind of finds out about Jason Sampson V1I's sexually predatory behavior, and then we all would deal with it, right? Because it's not like the information's hard to find. It's not like the information takes too long to get to people, and yet it doesn't affect change immediately. Like, he's not arrested. He's not stopping YouTube. He's still doing stuff, and people don't even know. He has millions, and I don't want to say. I mean, maybe he has hundreds of thousands. He might have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but many of them don't know now, months after it came out, that he is a sexual predator who, does stuff that he shouldn't do with teen girls. It's weird that there's a disconnect. Potentially, everybody should be able to find out immediately, and everyone should know, and yet that kind of doesn't happen. And that's and that leads for a lot of that leads to a lot of frustrations. At least a lot of conflict.
Yeah, that is interesting because I think we can kind of fall into uh, the very isolated communities sometimes, where maybe um, I'm not saying this in a derogatory way, but like One Direction fans, young One Direction fans might be an example of this, which they're great. I love One Direction fans, and but maybe they're younger and might not have as broad of a scope, and they might only follow like all the One Direction members and whatever other official pages, and then maybe a couple of their friends accounts like on Twitter is kind of what I'm thinking. They might only that might be the only people that they follow, and so if something happens in that community but none of those people talk about it, they're going to have no idea. Or if something happens in an adjacent community that they might have some ties to, but they're only following those people, they're going to have no idea about what happened. And I think that people can fall into that with fandoms. And it is what it is. I don't mean it in a necessarily a bad way, but I think that we can miss out on certain things that are important because we don't have a diversified scope of what we're consuming with our medias.
I wholly agree. I mean, it's another example of the way in which confirmation bias can screw you up. You look for people who you like for a particular reason, and then you look for other people who like the same things for the same reasons, and then you only just listen to each other, so you don't get any conflicting information about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's rough, and I mean that's the reason why I've kind of slacked off on it for this year. But I was definitely doing this at the end of last year. I've been trying to contact bigger YouTubers and asking them to talk about things that would affect all of their viewers. Like for example, a really a simple example is that I've tried to tweet at Dan and Phil, pointlessly, I'm sure, but I tried to tweet at Dan and Phil and ask them to talk about the Safer Community Pledge, to talk about how there is abuse in the YouTube community, because they do have over 1 million subscribers. Who said it? Probably Sarah pointed out that Jason Sampson only has a few 400,000 subscribers right now. Thank you, probably Sarah. But yeah, so like a big YouTuber, like a Dan and Phil type YouTuber, they could potentially reach 1 million people just by saying, hey, be careful about the people you fan over on YouTube, because some of them will try to abuse you. It took me 5 seconds to say that. It took no time at all, and you could be protecting 1 million people, and that they don't do that. That frustrates me too.
Yeah, it's hard, and I think they have so many connections with people too. They have to think about like whose toes are they maybe going to be stepping on, which is to say, it's messy.
It is messy, and
messy.
if I end up being like a popular YouTuber who has tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, more than that subscribers, I will definitely end up being known as the angry one, because I'm gonna be calling people out on their shit. Like, I don't care if it messes up your relationship with Big Frame Network or whatever. Say that young girls are in danger. How is anything more important than that? How is anything more important than that? Yeah. Anyway, I could rant for hours just about that topic alone. But let's address some more questions from the comments. Probably Sarah asked, thoughts on people who swear in their videos?
That's a good question. Do you have thoughts on this, Paul?
I do. I think that swearing is a foolish, outdated concept, and I don't care who says what in their videos, as long as it's not slurs. Slurs, I don't think are the same as swears. Slurs are actually perpetuating, an oppressive aspect of society that actually hurts people. But profanity literally hurts nobody.
Yeah, my biggest feeling on that would be very similar to you. People can say what they want in their videos. We're not on television. We don't have the same censors, and people can say what they want. That being said, I think you have to consider who your audience is, and whether it's worth potentially ostracizing some of that audience because of the way you're talking. And the answer might be yes, it's worth ostracizing them, and that's fine. You know, people have to make that choice. But like for me, my 3-year-old niece loves to watch my videos, and I am careful not to curse or have any weird themes um, because I don't want, you know, my sister to say, sorry, you know, you can't watch Aunt Chelsea's videos because they are, you know, whatever reason she might give her. But, you know, I want that to continue. I want my friends and family uh, to feel comfortable watching my videos. And like my mom is a teacher, and she shows my videos sometimes to her class, and you know, I want that to continue. I don't want that part of my audience to be ostracized because I am choosing to use what some people might consider vulgar language. So I think it's to each their own. I think exactly like Paul said, if as long as you're not using slurs, you can say whatever you want, but just realize that it is, for better or worse, it is going to have consequences.
Um, that is good reasoning, but I've been a kid. I've been 4, I've been 6, I've been 8, I've been 12, I've been 15, and I hunted down the things that were kept from me.
Oh, I'm not saying, I'm talking from the perspective of either adults who are offended by that or people who will, like, I want my mom to keep showing my videos in her classroom, but I know that that's not going to happen if I'm using something that's considered inappropriate. So I'm not per se talking about, and that's just talking about my own channel as the example, but um, I'm not really talking from the kid's perspective here, actually. But you're right, and I do agree with that. Being younger, you know, I was very curious, and I would find stuff out. You know, it's if I was curious about it, I would research it.
Yep. So and I mean, I don't think that my channel is a potty mouth channel. I don't go off and just like curse for no good reason. But for example, when I get mad about institutional racism, when I get mad about people defending rapists, I'm probably going to curse. And I think that it's appropriate for me to do that on those occasions. Um, and that's less because it's profanity and more because it conveys something important about what I'm saying. Um, I don't know if I could talk about the way people defend rapists and blame victims as honestly, frankly, if I did not curse a little bit about it, because I would be indicating that somehow the topic of protecting rapists and blaming victims is not as important as the profanity that I'd be trying to keep myself from saying. Now, I do realize that means that, for example, a teacher would not show my video to a class of students. Even if the teacher completely agreed with me, they couldn't do that because they might lose their job. I realize that. That's fine. I think that those kids would probably find my video from doing YouTube searches if they were interested in that topic. Would it be effective if I gave a not entirely honest version of my take on things so that teachers might show my videos in their classrooms? That would be cool, but as far as I know, 0 teachers want to do that right now. If any of them reach out to me and say, Paul, I would love to use your content, but you curse too much when you're talking about but you curse too much when you talk about how many police officers are killing black people and getting away with it. I would say, well, first of all, deserves cursing, but second of all, I will revise my video methodology so that you can have your kids learn about police officers killing black people for no good reason. I would do that. That would be worthwhile to me. But right now, even though my analytics show that my demographics vary pretty widely in ages and geographic locations, I've had nobody institutional telling me that they want to show my videos in a restricted environment and can't because of my language. So right now I'm going to stick with honesty until such time as it's needed to do. I needed to modify it for environments. If somebody asked me to come and talk to a classroom full of kids, I probably wouldn't curse in that classroom full of kids. I'm almost positive.
Almost positive.
I'm a passionate kind of guy sometimes. I will say that it's a matter of ranking what is important in the information that you're trying to convey. Like I say, when I don't usually curse for excited reasons or for like I'm annoyed reasons. I usually curse because something is just making me very angry at the state of the world, and that is the time in which cursing is appropriate in my mind. Um, but other things are more important. So, for example, if I wanted to talk about how viewers of YouTube videos should be careful about how they react to content creators, in videos like that, I try really hard not to curse because I specifically want those videos to be seen by people who are young teenagers, and maybe they would be more shocked by the profanity than paying attention to the things I'm saying to try to protect them from dangerous YouTube content creators. In those videos, I don't think that I curse at all, and I do that on purpose because I've reprioritized. It's more important for me to get the information to the teens and young and preteens than it is for me to just be honestly passionate about what I'm talking about. Yeah. So that's my take. My take is I'm okay with it if it's being done for a good reason, and there are more important things than being upset about profanity. But I agree with Chelsea that if you want to aim it toward an audience, it makes sense to aim it toward an audience.
Yeah, and so it's just it's something to consider. I think people have to make their own choice, but I think some people just don't think about that sometimes, and then maybe they wish they had, or maybe they don't care. People got to do what they got to do.
Yeah. I will say that there's a YouTuber, Presley of Act Out Games. I think she's 8 to 10. She's somewhere in that range, 8 to 10 years old. She makes videos. She's been doing like a daily vlog every day for over a year, and she doesn't do it on her own. She does it with her father, and her father is very active in making sure that she is learning all the time, that she is learning she's watching the right kind of YouTubers. And I honestly thought that he would not let her see my videos because I talk about very, content warning requiring topics, and I use profanity. But I think what he does is I think that he vets my videos. I think he watches them first, sees if what I talk about is worth showing to his daughter, and then he'll show her some of my videos. And I know that he's shown her some of my videos, like about Ferguson, for example. He's shown her one of my videos about Ferguson, and then they created a response video about it, which was really, really, really cool. So I think that the other part of the equation is that caretakers, guardians, and parents have to be actively engaged in the upbringing of the children they're responsible for. They can't just slap a blanket. Well, you can't watch anything with a 4-letter F word in it. You just can't. They have to actually figure out whether it's worthwhile the content that they're allowing their children to see.
That's true. That's true. There's a lot accessible online, so it's important, I think, to be at least aware.
Yeah. Let's see here. Scozio asked if there are other foreign language creators. Well, he implied that he's looking for some more foreign language creators. I've mentioned a few. I want to say that I thought of somebody else since the last. Nope, I can't remember who they were. Oh well. Do you watch any other non-English speaking YouTubers, Chelsea?
I watch a few. There's one channel that our friend B, recommended. I'm pretty sure it's called Sweet and Tasty, but it's more Korean culture. But she has a really interesting channel. I've only been watching for a couple months, but she just goes over really applicable, hey, if you were on a subway, these are catchphrases that you would need to know. And they're just little videos that give you really applicable like vocabulary and phrases if you're like trying to learn the language. But she also does interesting, like, I'm going to this place in South Korea and I'm going to show it to you. Um, I'm not actually studying Korean, but I still find her videos really interesting, and I've learned a little bit from them. As somebody who's not a student of the language, I still have learned a little bit. Um, I think that's probably the only actual like foreign language teaching channel that I follow. But there's a lot.
There are, and actually, that reminded me that the YouTuber I just mentioned, Presley of Act Out Games, this little girl, she's so smart. She actually is teaching how to speak Japanese on her channel. She has like a little
Oh my God.
sub-series where she teaches people how to speak Japanese phrases and whatnot. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
Let's see here. Matt Palka says, having no control over slurs and profanity seems immature to me. I understand that view, but I want you to ask yourself, where does that view come from? Where does the view that slurs and profanity is immature, where does that come from? Does it come from a place of ethical concerns? Does it come from a place of moral validity? Or does it come from a place of like preachers and ministers telling us that because they tell us that? I'm not sure. I don't know the answer. But like, where does it come from, the idea that speaking profanity is immature? Or like the other thing of like, you know, if you curse a lot, you have a limited vocabulary. These are obviously ideologies that are given to make people stop cursing. So whenever something's presented, however reasonable it is, to make people stop doing something, I have to wonder, where did that come from and why? I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Because cursing is only considered vulgar because it's considered vulgar. Then there's literally that's it.
Yeah. I mean, like,
Um,
if I say fudge you, on paper, that is a very innocent thing to say, fudge you. But if I were saying that heatedly, very angrily, in the Christmas story, you'd probably be able to understand what I was implying.
yeah, and I think that's where, for me, I don't really prefer cursing, and I don't prefer using it because, and I said it in the comments actually, that I think for a lot of people, cursing can also be very similar to
Mm.
yelling.
Yeah, I said that, yeah.
And if somebody is um, yelling at me, I'm probably not really going to listen to them. I'm just going to be like, well, you're super angry and irrational right now. And like I'm talking like a face-to-face interaction. If they were yelling at me, I would probably be like, no, you're not allowed to talk to me that way, and you need to calm down. And I'm not going to engage with that.
Sure.
And I think if somebody's passionately yelling or passionately cursing at me, I'm going to have the same reaction. And I think there's a potential for that reaction to overflow into a video reaction. If I'm watching a video and they were really they were cursing a lot at the camera, not necessarily at me, but I think there would be a potential for that same reaction to happen.
Where it
I
turns
don't
you off
know.
and you just kind of shut them out.
Yeah, I don't know whether that's right or wrong, but I have experienced that before where I've been like, objectively, you have some good things to say, but this is so like, it's hard for me to watch. Um, and I'm not thinking of a particular video here or anything, but there have been some videos that I've clicked away from because it's been so intense and so hard, also so hard to sort through like what they're actually saying because there's so much angry cursing that I'm like, wait, what was that? Like, what was the point of that sentence? Like, are they supporting or are they dismissing like this thing? And I'm speaking of definitely an extreme example here. Um, but I've talked to other people who have a much more severe case of what I'm talking about than I do, because I don't. I try to look at things objectively and not just go on my gut reaction with stuff. But I know a fair amount of people who are like really stressed out by that, and they definitely consider cursing like on the same level as like being yelled at, for right or wrong. And I
Yep.
think that goes back to a lot of, it is that way because it is that way kind of stuff. It's just a cultural norm
Yeah.
um,
I,
that can be changed.
is it the case that the context or the, let's say the direction of where the profanity is used makes a difference? Like for me, having someone yell a invective describing me at me, like if someone were to call me a four-letter word, that I was that.
Right.
That would be different from somebody like yelling up at the clouds, "Why is this happening? Curse, curse, curse! Why can't this stop?" Those are two different experiences for me. What do you
Yeah,
think?
they are different. Self-defense wise, I would probably, and this is again going back to like non-video context, like actual to like physical people in the same proximity. If somebody was like yelling at the clouds like that, I probably would like walk past them unless I thought they were like in danger. But I would be like, that person is a wild card,
Hmm,
and I'm probably not going to engage with that.
interesting. Let's
I
see
should say
here.
I have had that experience many times. And where I work, there's a lot of very eccentric people, and there's a large population of interesting citizens. I don't know how to say. There's a. I have to call the police a lot. I'll say it that way. Um, and there's people that I definitely walk by that are causing some sort of trouble. And I'm not saying these people are any one thing. Um, but if I see someone that passionately yelling out and cursing, I'm probably going to keep walking. That made no sense because I was trying to say it in a way that made sense and I failed.
That's all right. There are people who are yelling profanities on the street who make you uncomfortable. I think that's clear.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it.
Sure. Another thing about it is that although the impact of what people do is very, very important, I think that if you are not hurt too much by the impact, that you can take a look at the intent and see what are the motivations behind things like profanity. Like a place where I can be kind of distant from it is in comments. Trolls will very oftentimes use profanity in their trolling, and they do it for, I think, two reasons. One reason is literally because they want to hurt you. They know that profanity hurts people, and so they leave it in comments using some of the most vulgar terms to hurt the people that they are commenting about. And it has nothing to do with conveying information, has nothing to do with being persuasive or anything like that, or them being too passionate to control themselves. It's done specifically because it's a hurtful thing to do. Um, Other times I will have comments that are not from trolls at all, that are from just people who are like, "I'm so mad at the government," and then a little curse at the government. And I understand, okay, that's not being left there to hurt me. That's being left there because they're angry about the situation, and so they're expressing that anger in that profanity. And seeing that intent is a part of what allows me, better than Google, to figure out what is spam and what is spam and trolling versus what is just a vehement comment. Does that make any sense? I'm not sure if I explained that.
Yeah, I think it goes back to intent a lot.
It does. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I want to go back to look at the comments and what people said. Scozio has seen people swearing during a room tour. I would not swear during a room tour. No matter how good my mother bleeping ukulele is, I'm not gonna. That just seems ridiculous. Um, let's see here. Cat Black says she's been trying not to curse on her main channel because there's a possibility of parents and family watching. It's tone policing, but it's the same, more productive. Okay, makes sense. Yeah, she basically echoes what you said. More people will hear you if you don't curse. Do 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 do. I hope that I'm engaging with the comments enough. I'm trying to let you talk, Chelsea, and then like give my own opinion, but also look at the comments. It's a juggling act over here. Are you still with me, Chelsea?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I am. I was reading a text message. Sorry, but I was listening. I think you're doing a good job.
Cool. Probably Sarah points out that sometimes cursing is just simply done out of habit. Craig Ferguson had this bit on his Late Late Show where he would use a four-letter word that I will probably never use, and then he would say, "Well, it's just slang in Scotland," and that was his joke, was that this horribly vulgar word, it got bleeped out because it's a broadcast channel, but he would use this word, and he would just joke that it was just a part of his language because he's from Scotland.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that what he was pointing out was that it was actually a bad thing, and that people use that as an excuse, not that he was necessarily condoning that. Ooh, Tyler says Anna Marta is fantastic in Portuguese. So if you're looking for international YouTubers, cool. Oh, but Scozy already knew. Just some German dude who I would infer is from Germany says that making such a big deal of cursing seems to be a very American thing, not really a biggie there. Interesting.
Yeah,
Contextual to the location.
I have some cousins who are French. Like they moved here to the United States, but they grew up in France. And they were like, "Yeah, it's not as big of a deal over there. Like everybody curses. Like it's considered swearing, but it's not as big of a deal." So that's another country's perspective. Additionally, that kind of agrees with you. Just some German dude. I don't know how to say your name. It's spelled SPU, and I'm afraid to say it wrong.
I mean, in English, the pronunciation would be spoo.
Spoo, yes. But then I was like, was it spew? And then I'm like, what if it's wrong? So just so you know, just some German dude. I struggled with that. I thought I'd share that with you.
Names are important. Names are more important than some people give credit for. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I get so angry when, especially, like content warning people for suicide right now. So for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to mention that content warning. Um,
Okay.
when some trans teen kills themselves, I am just so upset. And then when their gender is when they're misgendered after death, I I break down crying looking at this happen, and it happens all the time. Like, identity is important, and your gender, your name, how you present yourself in general, that's all so freaking important. And I think people just like brush it off. Like, it's just a name, it's just a gender, whatever. We're gonna say whatever we're gonna say, and if you tell us not to say it that way, then you're oppressing us, and garbage like that. It's not true. Identity is important. Names are important. Genders are important. Self-expression is important. That makes me angry. It normally makes me angry enough to curse.
It is important. Maybe like a year ago, this was a while. I don't know why I remember this so vividly, but I do. There were two people that I met. It was just like at work, just probably still teenagers, but young people. And I don't remember their names, to be honest. But one of them had a more like a typical name, a name I had heard other people called for. And then the girl, it was a guy and a girl. The girl had a very, very unique name that I'd never heard before. It was long and it was really unique. And I introduced myself, and she introduced herself back, and I said, "Oh, can you say that one more time?" I wanted to get it right, and her friend like kind of made fun of our interaction and was like, "Oh, your name's so long," and she was like, "Shut up!" But it, it was interesting because I could tell he was awkward. That I was taking a minute to try to learn her name, and I could also see that she was really awkward, like almost like they were just mutually used to people brushing her name off. And I sincerely was saying, like, no, I really want to learn it, even though I was probably never going to see her again. And I did never see her again. But it made me sad looking back that it like had to turn into a joke because they didn't know how to deal with being earnestly cared for about learning her name.
So she turned it into a joke?
They both did. Like they were very happy-go-lucky, but like I could tell that, and I didn't say it in an awkward way. I was just said like, "Oh, am I saying it right? Can you say it again?" Which I've said to other people, and other people have said to me about my name. So I feel like I wasn't being awkward. But they both made it into a joke, like in a way that like she wasn't used to the positive attention, if that makes sense. It made me sad because I thought, does nobody ever say that to you? No, do people just never bother to get your name right? Is what I gathered from that.
Well, I mean, if it is a multi-syllable name, and it is not a name whose vowel and consonant structure makes sense in English, in like British English, then she probably does experience a lot of people mispronouncing her name and not caring about it because that is the
Yeah.
way of white people.
Yeah, and it made me sad.
I mean, I actually want to do a whole vlog about this, about microaggressions with regards to communication. And I was catalyzed to think about this with Quvenzhané Hawalis and her various award ceremonies, where reporters are assholes to her. I just cursed. Where reporters are racist and bad people to her, and just make fun of her name. And other actors and people in Hollywood make fun of her name as well. And that is just, it's infuriating because it is a lack of respect that is 100% grounded in racism, regardless of whether the person themselves is usually racist. Ricky Gervais making a joke about it. That's, maybe he has black friends, but that was pretty damn racist of you. It's not that it's necessarily hard names to learn, but certainly if vowels and consonants and the patterns of the structures of names are things that you're not familiar with, it's going to feel like you are trying to capture noise and recreate it. And I understand that that's difficult, but it is such an important, respectful thing to do, to let people tell you what their names are and then tell it back to them. Try really hard to do it, sincerely, not jokingly. I feel like the girl that you're describing, may have had experiences where she was criticized for making a big deal about her name at some point. And so she took that on as a defense mechanism, just laughing it off. That's
very much what it felt like, was exactly that, a defense mechanism, laughing it off.
So it's a racist thing. It is a xenophobic thing. I've been talking about people with names from other languages, but mostly it is really just a sense of kind of staying within the privilege of knowing that you're in the class of people who have most of the names around you, so you can get away with it, and that sucks. And so I try very, very hard to listen carefully for how people pronounce their names, and then I try to pronounce it back to them as close to the same way as I can, and I get their reassurance, and I tell them that it's not that I want to do it. I tell them that it's not irritating, it's not a problem, it is my mistake, it is my fault that I cannot hear it or pronounce it as well as I should, because it's not their fault. It's that my education hasn't been broad enough. That's basically it. Just some German dude also gets angry about it.
So thank you, Spoo.
I try to remind myself about the importance of self-identification a lot because of my interactions on YouTube, Twitter, and Tumblr, because many people that I really, really like have different labels on these different platforms. And I just recently messed up. I just recently called YouTube's That Katie Project I accidentally called her by her Twitter handle, that Katie Rose, and she doesn't like that. And I didn't know, but I should have been more careful about it. I should have stuck when I was on the YouTube platform. I try to stick with what I see on the YouTube platform, and I just messed up that time. But it reminded me that I need to pay attention to that. People's self-identifications are very important. Hi, Tristan.
Hi, Tristan.
I feel, probably Sarah says that she has friends who get their names pronounced. By the way, if I'm using anybody's gender incorrectly based on their names, let me know. And I do apologize. But probably Sarah says that they have some friends who get their names pronounced so much, mispronounced, I'm guessing, so much that they don't even correct people anymore. I feel so bad for those people. I feel bad for those people. My last name gets pronounced wrong, weirdly. It's 4 letters. It's Roth.
Yep. It's super weird.
I don't think it's that hard to pronounce, but I've heard like Ruth, Roth. Ruth and Roth are the bigger ones. Most of the time, people get Paul right. I don't know. And it doesn't hurt me too much because most of the time people get my first name right. But just from the slight flicker of irritation that I get when people say Roth or Ruth as my last name, I have a lot of sympathy for people who have more complex first names than I do, which is almost everybody. And your screen name, I keep on calling you SeaChelsters. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Because it's like a play on seashell.
Yeah, it's like 3 different plays on my name, all combined into one username.
So
you got it right.
Good. Are there other things that you wanted to talk about specifically? I figure let's wrap up in like half an hour.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah, that sounds good. I came into this with basically no agenda. I tried to think of something, and then I just was sick the last couple days and didn't give it much thought.
Yeah, applause to Chelsea for sticking with this Google Hangouts because she's been very sick the past couple of days, and she's still pulled it together, joined us here.
I feel much better now, and just in time. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me, everybody.
I'm glad, too. Tyler says that he has a friend who always tells people at restaurants that he's John or something generic because he doesn't want to trouble employees with his complex name.
I know a few people who do that too.
Did you read that article about how Starbucks baristas mess up people's names because they're intellectually not challenged and so they're bored and so they just do it on purpose?
Yeah, I did read that. And or I think it was a while ago that I read something about that, and maybe I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I think for some people probably, but who knows?
Who knows, indeed. Madeline's mom's Polish and her dad's German Serbian. Oof, goodness. Used to get called Magdalene, but there's clearly an OG. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right, Madeline. Please let me know if I am not. Interesting, though. Interesting.
Yeah, because Magdalene is not as common, at least in my experiences, not as common as Madeline. So that's funny jump to make to me. But maybe I just don't.
It's not a British or American spelling of Madeline. So people can certainly get confused, but it is. I find it a weird phenomenon that people will put in other letters besides the ones that are in your name when they can't figure out your name. It's like their brain is telling them, white and gold instead of blue and black.
Yes, there was a reference to the dress earlier.
I saw it.
It was Spoo. Sorry if it was somebody else. Yeah, it's true. Perception. It's weird.
I got so mad at that dress. I know that millions of other people did as well. I got so mad. I thought I accused my friend Fran of lying to me. Oh man. Matt asks about the Less Than Famous panel, and Tyler had asked about it a moment ago. We mentioned it earlier on in this conversation, but I don't mind talking about it again. I'm excited that so many people that I know have submitted less than famous panel auditions. That is very cool. Chelsea, are you going to do a less than famous panel audition?
I haven't given it a lot of thought. A little thought. I'm not sure yet. I need to look into it a little bit more. Like I haven't watched the open call for auditions or seen the post or anything. Like I only know about it because you've been talking about it. um, so I want to do a little more research first. I probably will.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's, anytime anytime you can have an excuse to make a video where you talk about yourself for a little bit, it's probably, it appeals to the narcissist in me and in many YouTubers, I'm sure. But the way I posed it at the end of my less famous panel audition was that it's a good exercise. Just figuring out how to say things for a particular target audience, namely the VidCon video review panel. Figuring out how to say things that are going to appeal to them, that are honest about yourself, and that you can do it all in 4 minutes or less. And that's a legit challenge to do.
It is, and that's probably the main reason why I will push myself to do it, because the amount of people that are applying and yada yada, there's a very small chance that I'll make it on the panel. But I think it would be a really good creative project. A few months back, probably maybe like 6 months, I don't know, maybe more even, Rhett and Link made an open call for a female version of their show, which I have yet to hear anything about, by the way.
Oh, they never like announced anybody winning their.
No, not that I'm aware. I don't watch all their videos because they produce so many videos. So I do not keep up. At least not 100%. But I haven't heard anything about it. But that's a side note. But I made an audition video and it was really hard to do. And
was it public?
I think I made it unlisted or private. It might not be. I might still have it up. I can't remember. It's on my channel. I think it is public actually, because Vince referenced it the other day. But it was a very interesting challenge to make that video and kind of try to sell myself, like you said, for a very particular audience. And I think I would take that challenge again. It's not going to be easy, but I think it's good.
Awesome. If you make one, I will watch it, and I'd be excited to see it. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I knew that they had done like a contest thing to find people to participate in a women's version of their Good Mythical Morning show.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I saw some of my friends put up videos for that. Maybe that Katie Project did that one. I mean, she did a lot of videos for UViver, so I might be confusing that. But I saw somebody's audition for Good Mythical Morning, and it was cool. I have a hard time. Watching Rhett and Link's videos sometimes because they're cool guys. They can be funny. They are more mainstream than they are Tumblr. And I am more Tumblr than I am mainstream.
That's an interesting comparison to make.
Yeah. Like people will actually make fun of my friends, for being too Tumblr, which basically always translates to being more socially aware of issues and concerned about them than other people. But I am on that side. Like, it doesn't bother me to find out something new that I should be aware of as a social injustice and potentially correct my behavior about. That doesn't bother me. I want to learn about the things that I'm doing that are potentially harmful to people. And I don't necessarily go along with everything, but I'll always try to check it out, and I'll find out if I really am potentially perpetuating an oppressive or marginalizing or harmful activity. And if I am, I cut that out. I don't want to hurt people.
It's good to be aware. I feel like my audition video for that went really well.
Oh, then I really want to see it.
Like, it's not the greatest, but like I think it went pretty well, and not to be disparaging of anybody else, but I watched a lot of like not great ones that like many other people posted. I feel kind of bad saying that, but like there were a lot of really messy audition videos, and I was like, I might have a slight shot at this. And then they never said anything. Just fine.
I mean, if there is no women's version of Good Mythical Morning, then maybe they're just dropped the ball.
Yeah, or their sponsor could have backed out, or who knows.
And they do so many things.
Yeah. Also, Sarah, I'm sorry that you are sick.
Oh, me too, Sarah. I'm sorry that you're sick. I missed that.
Oh,
Tyler is sharing a lot of information about international and other
yes,
language YouTubers.
yes. So Sonia is really great. I don't know if her videos just haven't been coming up in my feed or if she hasn't made one in a while, but I haven't watched her videos in a while. She's great though. You guys should check out So Sonia.
Definitely. I say that as if I know. I'm just agreeing with you, even though I don't know the channel. Let's see here. Oh, thank you, Sarah. That was very kind of you. Apparently, Sarah watched my audition video. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, Maria Jackman. No, German. Maria Jackman. Originally German, but her videos are in English. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Marie's stop motion videos as well. I just discovered her like 2 or 3 video uploads ago, and I've already been trying to like tout her and push her videos on YouTube and Twitter. Tyler says that Sosonia is sporadic with uploads. Well, that explains it. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna do like a personal friend plug here. My friend Francesca, whose YouTube channel is something like Fran Just Fran. I think it's Fran Just Fran. She is close to 1,000 subscribers. By close, I mean like less than 100, less than 75, I think at this point, less than 75 people away from 1,000 subscribers. If you who are watching this video or live stream or whatever are not yet subscribed to Fran Just Fran, please search her out and subscribe to her. I would link to her channel, but I don't have it right at my hand. And she's great. She's thoughtful and self-deprecating and very British and funny. And if no other reason at all, she was the force who created the "We Are Here For You" video that was specifically to support victims who choose to come forward about the things that have been done to abuse them, both on YouTube and off. So I was happy to participate in her "We Are Here For You" video. She was behind that. Check out Fran Just Fran, and please subscribe if you haven't yet.
Okay, I will check it out.
Oh, Madeline's coming in with a cosplay foreign language YouTuber, and Lena Cosplay. Neat. Oh, in French. I should check that out. Actually, I mentioned in my last Google Hangout that I want to kind of refamiliarize myself with French. Not that I ever really had a really working vocabulary, but when I was just out of my last college class of French, I could at least understand it.
Oh, okay. Another non-English speaking channel that I really, really love is Kisamake.
I don't know that at all.
I don't remember all of his details, so you'll have to forgive me. But I'm pretty sure these days he's living in Japan, but he's not from Japan, and he speaks like 2 or 3 other languages besides Japanese or something like that. So like he's like super like there's a lot going on there. But he is just like the huge goofball. He does makeup videos, like cosplay kind of status makeup videos, but it's very makeup centric, not so much costume. And he just is hilarious. Most of his videos have English subtitles, so that's helpful. You just have to experience Kisamake. I'm going to type that in the comments right now. Kisamake. Super funny, very eccentric.
Cool. Cool. How have you been enjoying? I think we mentioned this before the stream was broadcast, but how have you been enjoying the Blackout Day pics that have been going up on the internet today?
I've really been enjoying it. I didn't really know that this was happening until today. I saw one person mention something about hashtag blackout, like maybe yesterday, but I remember thinking like, oh, maybe they had a power outage. like, like it wasn't it. There was no context. They just said something about like, oh yeah, I'm glad I saw this video before the blackout or something, and I was like, oh, I don't know, but I was very pleasantly surprised because that's not what I thought this was going to be at all. It's really interesting just to see people celebrating, our fellow human and a portion of our society that doesn't get enough attention.
I
So
agree.
let's give it to them. And ugh, everybody is so beautiful. I'm just like overwhelmed. My whole Tumblr feed is just like really beautiful families and people and like little grannies and grandpas, and it's so beautiful. I love it.
It is beautiful. I love it too. I've been, during my work day, which is what I've been seeing it happen initially. I was only looking at Twitter. I don't look at Tumblr during the work day because then I'll just like get sucked into Tumblr and never see anything else, or do anything else for work. But yeah, I was watching all the photos and whatnot go up on Twitter, and it was beautiful. And I was trying to retweet, as many of them as I could, and you know, I predicted that it would happen. It's immediately at the very beginning of the day, as soon as I first started seeing the posts go up, I predicted it would happen, but I hoped that it wouldn't happen. But sure enough, whiteout day or whiteout tag happened in response because there are some white people who just cannot stand for anything to not be about them.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't even like clicked on the tag or anything.
Oh,
Like
don't.
I no, I've just ignored it. But that's irritating. Um, I guess as somebody from the privileged enough perspective of just being another white person, but it made me very irritated, and I was like, I'm not even going to give that any attention. But yeah, that's offensive.
It is, and it's just like the fight against all black no the fight against Black Lives Matter with the response hashtag of All Lives Matter. Yes, all lives do matter, but when we're talking about black people being hurt disproportionately and how that is something that needs to be addressed, then you tugging on our shirt sleeves to say, hey, but look at other people who aren't oppressed as much and who aren't hurt as much, but they also deserve attention. That doesn't tell me about society at large. It tells me about what your interests are, and your interests are keeping everybody focused on people who are not black people, and that pisses me off. So this happening again, I got mad. I kept my cool. I think I only tweeted about it once, rather than all of the profane curses and tweets that I wanted to tweet out throughout the day. I basically just said that it was a ridiculous thing to do to try to respond to this beautiful thing that's hurting nobody. It hurts nobody for there to be beautiful black people sharing photos of themselves and their families and their loved ones on the internet one day. Even if it went on for the entire month, that still would not be too much. It would be okay.
Yeah,
And
and
yet,
it's literally celebrating people. It's not like I don't know. It's not talking about something offensive or like a really heavy topic or something. It's just like, hey, let's celebrate these people. This is great. Let's do it, everybody, if you want to. And like that's the thing. It's just like if you want to do this, participate. There's nothing offensive about that.
there's not. Oh, Sarah told me that there's a Cat Black video on Blackout. I missed that. Ooh, I gotta watch for that. Cat does so many great videos, but I can't watch them all. There's so many. and some of them are a little bit longer. And I would subscribe to like 700 people. I gotta whittle that in.
700?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I unsubscribed from a lot of people over the last year or so because I just couldn't keep up. And I realized I was skipping a lot of people's videos, like consistently. Like I had not watched one of their videos in months, and they were a regular poster. And I was like, I just need to unsubscribe. I'm sorry.
Yep.
But you keep up though, Paul. I feel like you do not skip people's videos.
You know, I try. I am not a blanket supporter of literally everybody, but I will. You know, especially with little YouTubers who have fewer than 100,000 subscribers, and some of us have only hundreds or tens or thousands of subscribers. I feel like it's important to try to basically give all those people a shot, unless their brand is something that is offensive to me. Like I'm not gonna support white supremacy from the South.com. I'm not gonna support their YouTube channel, but I also don't really come across that in my usual internet exploring. But certainly, it's, I try to follow a lot of people of colors channels. I try to follow lots of different trans people, gay people, definitely bisexual and pan people. The people who get erased the most, I try not to erase them from my attention. I actively fight against that. It doesn't mean that even though I'm paying attention to them, they're going to produce videos that I necessarily like, but I will definitely give them a shot. I'll give them a shot for like 3 or 4 video posts, and if I just haven't felt compelled to watch any of them, then I'll unsubscribe again. But if I can give them my number in this subscriber count, I will do so. Do it.
Scozio says he unsubscribed. Scozio, am I using the right pronoun, Scozio? Okay, well, you said that you recently unsubscribed from some large-ish YouTubers, and you feel very refreshed. That's exactly how I felt.
Yeah, I subscribe to, in terms of large YouTubers, basically the Vlogbrothers family of channels are some of the ones I still subscribe to. It's like Crash Course and SciShow and Brain Scoop and Vlogbrothers. I'll subscribe to them, mostly because it's a lot of educational stuff. And similarly, I subscribe to lots of Discovery News channels. But I don't subscribe to big vloggers for the most part. I think the last million-plus subscriber vlogger to whom I subscribe is Lacey Green, who just got to 1 million like last year. Yeah, I think I used to subscribe to Grace and Hannah and Mamrie. I don't think I subscribe to them. I don't subscribe to them anymore. And a lot of the big YouTubers, they just, I don't know. I subscribe to Charlie Is So Cool Like still, but he never seemed to post videos, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the real big name YouTubers that I still am subscribed to don't post that often. But when they do post, it's really good. So I stick around.
Tyler is chiming in with support for small YouTubers. Yeah, gotta support the small YouTubers. And by the way, I don't know if I said that I don't know if I explicitly said that I am in favor of Scozio's approach of unsubscribing from largest YouTubers. But that's what I was trying to say. I was trying to say I am in favor of unsubscribing from largest YouTubers. They feel more and more these days. Largest YouTubers feel more like mainstream celebrities than YouTube people. And by that I mean that calling back to earlier on in a conversation when I talked about how I like the interactivity on YouTube more than the way a old school actor interacts with their fans, which is to say almost not at all. I mean, million-plus subscriber YouTubers, they literally can't interact with all their subscribers. They couldn't. There's not enough time in the day, and I think that they just don't interact with their subscribers very much at all, kind of because of that.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for people who have a very large fan base and still manage to be interactive. Um, like Michelle Phan is somebody who comes to mind is whether you like her or not. I really enjoy Michelle Phan. Um, but she like I don't comment on her videos that often, but when I do, she responds to my comments. And they're they're genuine responses. Like I don't think that it's just somebody. I don't think it's somebody on her team responding. It might be, but it impresses me when people still make the effort to be interactive because that's where it's at. You know, that's where you get a loyal fan base. Um, which makes a better community. I mean, that's for me, that would be the end goal of having a loyal fan base. You know, once you're on that level, is you have people who are going to interact and encourage each other and build a really good community.
I agree. I mean, that's Vlogbrothers started from the ground and now they're here.
Exactly. Hmm.
Um, but there's danger there too. There's like this recent thing on YouTube where up in Canada, the Hubbub Awards led to Matthew Santoro like
Oh,
calling out
baby.
his fans to go after Gunnarolla.
That was such a mess. Like, it was so bizarre.
It's
I
an
could,
abuse of that power.
yeah, I could barely, like, believe that it was happening because it was just so weird. I mean, it did happen, but it just, that mindset is so foreign to me. Like, that somebody would do that. And, like,
Yeah.
Andrew is such a cool guy. Like, why would you do that?
I mean, even if
I love
Andrew were the
Andrew.
biggest jerk in the world, you still don't do that. You don't take your
No.
your follower base of hundreds of thousands of people and aim them at someone. That's messed
Yeah,
up.
it. I have a very like hesitant feeling about calling your group of community, your fans, whatever, like an army. He's not the only one who does it. A lot of people do it.
They
And
refer to their viewers as an army.
yes, I don't remember how you pronounce his last name, but like whatever his last name, like this is Santoro, is that right?
I think that's Santoro. Yeah,
I don't watch any of his videos, so I've
me
only like
neither.
seen it written out. But like Santoro Army, like that's what they call it. And he's not the only one who does it. A lot of people do it, but it just is it's strange to me. Like, what are you fighting against? Because like Nerd
Yeah.
Fighters is a good example of that. Like that's also very much at like fighting, but like it's very clearly stated like the thing we fight is world suck, you know?
Yes.
Like
But they actually had to make specific videos where they addressed that because they kept on being asked as a question on their
that's true.
Tuesday questions. What do nerd fighters fight? No, we're fighting for something against world stuff. Hi, Lindsay.
Yeah.
So yeah, words are very important. Using the right words can be very important. There's a reason why I called my series PaulTalks. There's a reason why I called the people who talk with me Paul Talkers. I think communication is inherently a non-aggressive thing. If you're communicating, you're trying to get information from each other and trying to convey information to each other. It is by its nature a non-aggressive means of interacting with other people. Certainly, I would never ever be in charge of something that I would call an army. That is terrifying to think that somebody would voluntarily do that. I think I saw Anthony D'Angelo did a video where he asked about Evan Edinger calling his fans Avengers, because even that is a little bit has a bit of an aggressive feel to it. They're Avengers. What do you want them to go avenge against? You know.
Yeah.
So I think these words are very important.
It's something to think about.
Yep. I was gonna wrap it up here, right around now. We can keep on talking a little bit and like finish up like responding to comments. But I wanted to say hi to Lindsay when I saw her was logged in there. Thank you all for watching for 2 hours, some of you. Wow.
Yeah, this has been fun.
This has been a blast. Chelsea is I feel like you are a kinder person than I am.
Oh.
Like, I feel like I have a more of an aggressive personality.
Well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment.
It's meant as a compliment. It is meant as a compliment, and you also compliment me in this hangout because I get all angry at stuff, and then you like take a very calm response to things. That's great. I respect it
If
a
I
lot.
had to describe you in one word, Paul, it would be passionate.
That is like one of the best ways to describe a person, I think. So I'm delighted. I'm delighted by that. Sometimes I fear that I lose my passion because I talk about things that get me down. You know, I think about things that get me down a lot. So it's nice to hear that descriptor.
Good. I'm glad you like it because I believe it about you.
Madeline Claire's collab channel, Worldwide Wittios. Oh, nice. Witty people. I like that.
Well, I
Very
like that. That's good.
I'm very excited for new episodes of Steven Universe. I'm overwhelmed with delight at cartoons right now because I got Steven Universe, I got Gravity Falls, and I guess it's not a cartoon, but there's also Girl Meets World. All these like kids shows are really good right now. I'm enjoying them immensely. I can't wait to see what happens. I hope that we see more gems besides Pearl, Sapphire, Pearl, Garnet, and Amethyst. I hope we see more gems besides them. I hope we get to see some of the gem world. Those are the most exciting things when they like expand the arc behind the magic, the underlying ideas of the Steven universe. So cool. I'm glad that you watch it, Madeline. There was a little bit of discussion about the product placement stuff that happens in YouTube videos.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. One more Audible deal with a YouTuber and I might explode, says Sarah.
You know, here's my opinion about. I'll try to make it fast-ish. Lush, Audible. I think Squarespace is also trying to get a lot more YouTubers to promote them.
I see that a lot.
Yep. And here's my thought on that. I like PBS Ideas Channel's approach to it, which is probably like the most legit, ethical, moral approach to it, and that is to say, they are sponsored by Squarespace, but they don't push you to Squarespace. They literally just have one of their regular videos, then at the end of their video they say, hey, we were sponsored by them. And that's it. That's it. Wheezy Waiter. Was that?
No, I was gonna cut. I thought you were done talking. I didn't want to cut you off.
Oh, okay. I was going to say that Wheezy Waiter also has, I think, Squarespace as a sponsor, and he talks them up a little bit more. He actually has like a little commercial script almost that he goes through sometimes at the end of his videos. But again, he'll present like a regular Wheezy Waiter video, and then it's just like a commercial for them at the end. I'm cool with that. I think that makes perfect sense because it basically harkens back to the very beginning of broadcast entertainment, like radio and stuff. You know, that's what people would do. In order to get funding to stay on the air, they would get advertisers and sponsors, and then they would just like give a little blurb about it, not in the middle of their stuff, like product placement-y stuff, or like have an entire video about the sponsor. They would just like do their stuff, have a blurb at the end saying, hey, thank you for supporting us, and then that would be it. And so that's fine. The people who actually like do stuff specifically about that product and like spend an entire video on it, even when it's fully disclaimed, feels kind of dirty to me, and I don't know why. I can't justify that feeling, but it does.
It's
Feels
not
like
enjoyable to watch.
no. They even did it on Mental Floss. Mental Floss has had some videos where like the entire video is basically a video for their sponsor, and I feel cheated. Like I wanted to see John Green or Wizzy Waiter or somebody talking from the salon about something interesting, and instead you're talking about like this product thing that sponsors you. I get that they're paying you money, but man, it's disappointing.
It Yeah, I think that some of the sponsors are kind of ill-placed. That being said, though, I'm glad that these creators are getting sponsors. Like that enables them to keep creating and to support their life and get a paycheck. So all of my issues with sponsored videos still will boil down to like good for them. Um, but some videos are more inclined to, or channels I should say, are more inclined to sponsorships from some companies than others. Like Smarter Every Day. I don't know if any of you guys watch Destin. I really enjoy that channel, but he is sponsored by Audible for most of his videos. But he'll recommend usually a book that relates to the topic that he addressed in his video. So it doesn't seem out of place to me. It's
Oh, I like that.
interesting.
That's really
Yeah,
nice.
because it's an educational channel, and so he will select a book that relates to that topic that he's read, that he enjoyed, and says, you know, if you would like to learn more about this video that you obviously had some interest in, if you've watched all the way to the end where you're at the product placement, you know, get this free book or, you know, whatever. And I think that's really seamless. That makes a lot of sense, and everybody wins. I feel like, oh, maybe I will try out Audible, you know, more than if I'm watching somebody's completely non-related video and at the end they're like, oh, download a book, or it's randomly in the middle they're like, oh, and by the way, I've been listening to audiobooks lately, ho ho ho, and then down in the bottom it's like sponsored by Audible on this, you know, description. I think there's a time and a place. As the viewer, it can be done very well and it can be done very badly. Most of the time it's bad, but still good for creators for getting sponsors.
Yes, I'm all in favor of creators getting sponsors. I mean, I prefer when creators get their funding from things like Subbable and Patreon, because then you can literally give money to them, and then you don't have to have advertisements. But I understand that's not going to work out for everybody. That's fine. So getting sponsors makes sense. I do think that, you know, it tells me something about it. It tells me something about a content creator if they partner up with a sponsor and then they use the sponsorship just to make their ends meet, and it has little to do with their interests or what their channel is about. Like if somebody never talks about books on their channel and they are sponsored by Audible and they've got nothing to say about an audiobook and they've got nothing to say about a book, but they just say, hey, but if you go to audible.com/my name, blah, 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 that is unappealing to me and tells me that you don't care so much about your viewers as you do about making a living. There's nothing inherently wrong with that, but that's just not my preference. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough to make a living on YouTube. It is
It is.
really tough to make a living on YouTube, which is why only like 30 people in the world do it.
Yeah, it's it's hard. And here we all are using it anyways.
Hey, I use it because it's free and it costs me nothing but my time, which I like. If I didn't have a day job, my whole life would have to change around. Madeline also recommends Jack's Films approach to Audible sponsorship because he makes a joke out of it. I like that. I like that. It's good.
And then we've got Patreon coming up here.
Yeah, I wanted to make a Patreon video where I talk about why people should join my Patreon, and if they want to support me, they can. Do. Lindsay points out that it's a cheap form of quid pro quo. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so any last words to wrap up our Google Plus Hangouts on?
I think this has been really fun, and thanks for hanging out, guys. There's been a lot of engagement, and 2 thumbs up. Thanks for listening to me rant.
You didn't even rant. You like calmly and carefully considered all of your discussion and argumentative points. I was the one who ranted. But I agree with Chelsea. Thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying this. In case you all didn't know, I am coming up on my 2-year YouTube anniversary on March 23rd. So the Saturday before that, March 21st, I'm going to have an all-day Google Plus Hangouts. I just discovered today that the limit for how long these can go is 8 hours. So that's what I'm going to do. It'll be one ridiculously long Google Hangout from noon to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, March 21st. And that should, hopefully that'll be enough time that it can kind of cover everybody joining in for a minute or two and then getting out again when they have to live their life. And I'm going to be not just partnering up with one person like I've been doing recently, but I'm going to try to invite as many people who want to get in on this video streaming thing, like Chelsea did with me here today, to join in. So, yeah, you're going to see a lot of people, hopefully, joining in throughout the day on March 21st to celebrate my YouTube anniversary, my second YouTube anniversary, noon to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope I see all of you there. Thank you so much for all watching and like talking to us. Alrighty, I guess we'll say goodbye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, Chelsea. Bye, everybody. And